friends, it is after party time. We are back on the 83 Weeks channel and with ad-free shows. I'm Christy, my friends Steve and Adam are here tonight, as well as #1 best-selling author of Grateful, Mr. Eric Bischoff. Whoop, whoop.
Whoa,
Hey.
#1.
Wait a minute, where are we #1? Let's be clear here. We don't want to get crucified. Where are we number one?
You were #1 new seller on Amazon. I have the screenshot to prove it in case anyone disputes this.
Oh, good.
So don't worry, we're good. Facts, everybody.
I like it.
And Eric, I'm sure you're not surprised to hear that you've been getting a ton of reaction about the book. It's been out a couple weeks now. I know everybody up in here has had a chance to take a good look at it. What have you been hearing back from people?
Very, very positive, very favorable things that really make me grateful that I'm still able to do this kind of stuff and have a little bit of a voice and people that care. And it's pretty cool.
Were there any unexpected reactions maybe from anybody that you talked about in the book or from someone you were surprised took note that you had a new book out?
Not really. But bear in mind that technically the book has been out, but the first batch that came to us, we wanted to sign them for people that ordered off of bischoffbook.com early for the pre-sale. So we got all those signed. It took a little while longer to get those out, but now that they're finally arriving in people's mailboxes, starting to get more and more and more people, posted pictures and making nice comments and things like that. So it's cool.
It is cool. And of course, everybody out there, if you just can't wait, you can get the book on Kindle version as well from Amazon straight to your device. And that's a fun way to watch all those interviews. Eric, I'm kind of slowly making my way through. I thought I'd read first and then start to go through the interviews. But as I'm clicking in just to see who's available there, it is so exciting. The people that were willing to sit down and help you share your story a little bit. There we go. There it is. You can get it, folks. Oh, and earn some extra points too.
Yeah.
We love that.
I don't know if everybody gets those, but Kindle points is what they're called.
You got to be an avid reader out there, Eric. But we are also enjoying the special interviews as well that are included in the book. And we just want to thank you for giving us this great gift. I think everybody should look at this as something that they can get for their favorite wrestling fan this holiday season. And on that note, I do want to say hello to everybody who's come to hang out with us. We've been off for a couple of weeks, guys. I missed you all immensely, I do have to say. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody and happy holidays. I'm pretty excited for Christmas this year. So just giving everybody a warning on that. A lot of holiday cheer going on over here. I want to say hello to Zach and Josh and our other friend, Josh. Mick Mack is here. He's waiting for his book to arrive down under. He seems like the type who can't wait, who probably got it in the Kindle version as well. Maurice, always good to see you. Eddie, my friend, he finished your book already. Good reading, Eddie. Always good to see you guys. We, of course, are rolling here on the 83 Weeks channel. If you put a question for Eric there in your live chat, we will relay it over to him. And we have all of our friends from Ad Free Shows joining us as well. You guys get a little extra time at the end of the show to get your questions answered. And on that note, let's get to this one from Nicholas because we want to really catch up with you, Eric, since it's been a while. He wants to know, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was wonderful. My brother just had just gotten through 5 weeks of cancer treatment down at the Cancer Treatment Centers of America outside of Chicago. And it was tough on him. And we knew, going into the treatment that he was going to be coming out right before Thanksgiving. So it was kind of like a big goal for all of us. And we're all looking forward to just for him to get through that process and have something to focus on, on the other side of it all. So we've been kind of looking forward to it, and everything came together. Everything, my brother came out great, flying colors, and all is good. So it was kind of little special Thanksgiving. So it was fun. And I, as always, I just absolutely slayed my turkey.
But you were so far from the green egg. How did you do it?
I bought one for my sister about 5 years ago for her birthday. Because I knew I was going to be going back and forth for holidays. And no offense to anybody in my family, but none of them come near me when it comes to putting things on a grill, right? And I can't eat somebody else's poorly grilled food. I'd rather go hungry than to eat poorly grilled food. So I thought, how am I going to fix it? I know, I'll just fire a big green egg. So otherwise, I'd have to haul mine, and it weighs about 1,200 pounds.
What is her best?
Holiday gift.
Yeah, I mean, what has been her best dish on the big green egg? Has she done anything?
I think. Well, I've.
Does it just sit and wait for Uncle Eric to come? And
She uses it. Whenever I'm there, I cook because I'm better at it. But she's good for her at her level of what she expects from herself. I just expect more. It's just how I am about grilling. That's all it is. Like, I'm hard on myself. I have to grill to perfection or I get really pissed at myself.
But it's good that she's using it, because I know people who would buy something like that and then they would just never use it.
Oh no, she uses it. She, they make steaks and she smokes stuff and she uses it. Just not as well as me.
Great guest you are, Eric. Man.
Or a grill snob, one or the other.
Well, let's lighten this grill snob up with a quick joke from our friend Mick Mac. What did the ocean say to the sand? Nothing. It just waved.
There you go. Everybody's.
We've missed those from you,
Yes.
Mac.
Clearly, dignity is not part of the Australian DNA structure.
I mean, they like Vegemite, so there's that.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's some rough stuff.
Also, we're not breaking any news here because we don't know any specifics, but StarCast Australia 2023. Those are the disparate terms we are allowed to say currently. So maybe McMac will get to see us in person.
Oh, that'd be fun.
That's even more than I read in the dirt sheet.
I actually met McMac in person the last time I was in Australia. Did you
I
guys
bet he
know
brought
that?
you a nice gift.
Yes, he
seems
did.
like a gift giver.
And we had, and it was late, because I got done signing, and it was I can't remember what city we were in. It might have been Melbourne, and we had stayed in touch through DMs and social media. And I thought, wow, this is cool. If he wants to come down and have a beer, great. I'm just going to sit in my hotel room and wait till my flight in the morning. So we got together, and I think the bars were just closing, but they let us come in and have one or two, and that was that. So I actually met him in person. Had a beer.
Also, Harry Flynn with a really funny question. Did Garrett and Eugene both come to your Thanksgiving dinner? Your cousin Eugene.
No, Eugene is estranged. He's not part of the Bischoff nuclear family. I don't want to say it was kind of like a Joe Biden scenario. No, but Eugene is an illegitimate son.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, we did enjoy hearing Eric this week. I actually
People are
going to
believe that shit.
I mean, kayfabe. Fizz.
Should I untext Sean Ross Sapp? That's going to be a headline in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
He's got his best guys on
I
it.
could care less. Have fun.
Garrett did share some of his experience in the wrestling business on ad-free shows this week. What is the new show called, Steve? I really enjoyed it.
Family Business is what I'm pretty sure it's called.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So everybody give a good listen to that one if you have a chance. And we are going to get to some of our questions here from our live viewers. Another one. Here's one from Chaz. Eric, since we've seen you last, have you taken in any wrestling shows? He wants to know, what did you think about the WWE version of War Games at Survivor Series this year? Did you get a chance to tune into Survivor Series at all?
I haven't watched any wrestling so far. I mean, the last time I watched wrestling was AEW about a month ago. And I've been, as I told you guys, I think in August or September, look, October, November, December are going to be really, really tough for me. And I've just been traveling. And when I'm traveling, it's like the last thing in the world I'm going to do is watch wrestling in my hotel room. I just think that would be sad if that were to happen. And, God, can you imagine, like, if something happened? Say I just had a heart attack. Not to imply that I'm not healthy. I'm healthier now than I was 20 years ago. But let's just say, and they find me in the morning, well, wrestling would be over by then. So yeah, but I just wouldn't want to be found, at this stage of my life, watching wrestling in a hotel room. Feel weird.
That's fair.
The
No
bar
judgment.
downstairs, absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, if it's on in a bar or something, but I don't sound like I can watch bars either. Just when I'm this time of year, we're just bouncing back and forth, and we're really pretty busy. And even if we're not in a hotel room somewhere, then even if we're home or we're staying with family or whatever, it's just not something you're going to do when you're with family or friends or traveling. So I haven't watched any for, like I said, about a month. I'm probably going to catch up this next week or so. Just drop in. I'll drop in on WWE and I'll drop in on AEW. And I doubt I'll drop in on SmackDown. I got better things to do on Friday nights.
That's fair.
Friday nights are a rough night. They always have been.
And you know what? Historically, from the beginning, like from the first time I met Mrs. B, she was like 21, like Friday night. I don't care what else was going on, how hard we both had to work. Friday night was our night. And we stuck to that all the way through our kids being born, our kids growing up. Friday nights was our night. If we couldn't afford to go out any other night of the week, we'd go out on Friday night. And even if we couldn't afford to do it, we'd do it anyway because it was that important.
I just read about that in your book a little bit.
Oh, was that in there?
A little, yeah, just a quick little blurb. That was one of the things that I enjoyed about it, by the way, is that it was very quick paced. I just went right through it. You didn't get too much into anything that we wouldn't need to or want to hear about. And I can kind of appreciate, I think sometimes it's hard maybe for people to know what others will be interested in about their life. And you just kept it really concise.
Well, a lot of that had to do with Guy Evans. We spent hours and hours on the phone, and me, recording material and sending it to him and things like that. And all of the words are my words, but I think Guy, because of his discipline and his artfulness with the English language, is able to organize it and help it flow in a way that I guess people can just read it easier, and it's probably easier to read what I have to say than it is to listen to what I have to say. Let's put it that way. So when I'm speaking, I get distracted. I see like a bright, shiny object over here, and I'll change the middle of the conversation. I'll change the topic and forget what I started out talking about. But when it's written, it's a little more disciplined.
Well, and then the audible version. So you cut out all the distractions.
Yeah.
When we get to the audible version.
Yeah, that's down the road quite a ways. I don't think that's going to happen real soon.
Well, you are giving the people all kinds of content these days. The new book, 83 Weeks. And so many folks are talking about this morning. Josh Henn says a grateful moment was this morning for all of us who were able to watch the live 83 Weeks. That was awesome. He wants to know, how did you enjoy the show and the format? I think what he's getting at is, will you do this every week, Eric? What was your reaction to your live show this morning?
I absolutely loved it. And here's first reaction is, it just made it more, there's something special about live. It's hard to explain, but when I'm sitting here and Conrad and I are in conversation, but I can see comments popping up and people engaging, it's a fun thing, and it changes the energy of the podcast too. For me, because it just it's more fun, my energy changes a little bit. And I like that. It felt really good. It was fun. And here's what I like about it the most is, like anything, we tried it for the first time this morning and see if there was any bugs. And as Steve Kaufmann gets better at it and just more familiar with it, he'll be able to go, oh, and then we can do this if we want. Oh, you can do that if you want. And before you know it, the interactive part of it will become more of a part of the show. We don't want it to hijack the show. Right. I think is what Steve said this morning when we were talking about this, because we have a pretty good idea what we want to talk about and why we want to talk about it. But it's fun if we get to the point where, when live fans that are listening can ask a question that's relevant to what we're talking about at that moment, then it might be fun to kind of, integrate that into the show. And I think that'll, even on the listening end of it, will give the show a whole different feel.
Well, the ad-free shows, folks, are so tuned in. They come up with such great questions, and I think they're a great co-host to us here on our show. So, yay, that is so fun. Conrad's schedule might make doing that one every week a little iffy.
No, I think we could still manage it. I mean, there's always going to be something that may come up along the way throughout the course of a year that'll make something like that challenging, or maybe even impossible for 1 week. But that's okay. We'll do it the old-fashioned way until we get back to business the following week. No big deal.
All right. Well, if you are opening yourself up to live questions from fans, you may have to take a couple like this super chat from Mick Mac. Let's just get to it, Eric. He wants to know, what did you do to Ric Flair? And are his recent comments about you a shoot?
Okay, let's not talk Carney here. Come on now. Nobody's impressed with that. I have no idea. I saw it online and I'm thinking, wait a minute. But it's quite possible I said something somewhere along the way that I meant to be funny or whatever, and maybe somebody took it wrong. I don't know. I haven't talked to Rick. Like I said, I've been traveling. I just got home. I may reach out to him and go, what the hell? What's up, dude?
My read on the situation is, going through this documentary that's going to come out soon, he's reliving certain parts of his life, and he may be reminded that he's upset about certain things. Is the gist of what he was saying. People were taking the bad words by themselves, but that something you've already done and they have already apologized for, he's upset about again. And then someone caught him in that moment.
Okay.
That's
Well, we could understand it. We all get a little petty every once in a while.
Speak for yourself. Come on.
Jeez.
Me and Rick get a little petty once in a while.
Yeah.
All right. Let's dig out. Come on.
Let's do it. All right. How about this one from Colt Youngblood? Hey, Eric, besides Glacier, what character were you most disappointed didn't get over like you wanted? Was there anyone you were putting everything behind and it just didn't go the way that you wanted?
No, I can't. I mean, nobody that I felt like, oh, this is going to be, this is the one. Because I never felt that way about anybody. It always evolved. I never had like a talent other than, a couple, that we really prepackaged, like Glacier and Wrath and Mortis and all that. But that was a very specific strategy and for a reason. Ill-fated as it may have been, there was a reason. And the reason is what kind of justified the process of those characters, which was different than almost every other character or story we had. And in all the rest of the stories and characters we had, it was always evolution. Bill Goldberg wasn't premeditated or preconceived. Bill Goldberg kind of evolved, in out of a couple dark matches, and all of a sudden, there you go. There's your character. That's the way most of them happen. So there's no, man, I thought this one was going to work and it didn't for me. There was a couple, there was one in particular towards the end. It was an idea that I had in my mind for a long time. And I wanted this big, jacked up, beautiful, a Jade Cargill type, right? Only bigger. Like I wanted pro volleyball material. I wanted big, but jacked up. And I wanted to call her Size, SYZZ. And her tagline would be, because size does matter. And I thought it would be awesome. And I actually found the girl, and I'm hesitating because I can't remember her name. She came in right towards the end of I think, me in 99.
Medeja?
What is it?
Medeja?
No.
Okay.
That was a Scott Steiner thing. I'll think of it. And I met her in Miami. There was a hip hop concert in Miami I was at, believe it or not. Can't imagine that, could you? And I was there. I was actually there on business, and I saw this girl. She was a bodybuilder and absolutely beautiful. And talked to her, and she was a pretty good athlete, and she was excited about getting into pro wrestling. So I think we were just kind of getting her into the power plant or getting her some training. Size, because she was going to just be devastating, and her tagline would be size does matter. It's a little Vince Russo-ish, and I kind of feel guilty about that, but at the time it was kind of cool.
Actually, that's a bit Micmac-ish, but well.
But
So what
Yeah,
happened?
at least it had a little bit more nuance than huge erection. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the facts. I can't argue there. Eric.
Wait. So
Okay.
what happened to size?
Yeah, exactly.
I went away, and ultimately so did she.
Oh.
Ah.
Huh.
She was a victim.
I do like how you have a very healthy creative process. That even one where you're telling us you were very disappointed, I just had an idea and I wanted to put her out there and see what everyone thought. I thought it would be cool. Whereas there are a lot of people who I have this idea, and then here's night 1, night 5, night 500. That at least you're like, I think this is what the legs will be, but I want to put it out there. That your disappointment is the time you didn't get it out there.
Yeah. Well, again, like I said, the great thing about wrestling is that every time you go out and shoot a television, you have a live paying focus group.
Yeah.
They're telling you everything you need to know if you learn how to listen. And I don't mean we want this match, I'm not talking about making the audience bookers. There's enough of those already. But wow, did I just say that?
You're not wrong.
But in their reactions, in the feelings that they demonstrate in those reactions, and maybe it's different now, right? I'll concede I haven't done it in a minute, but I don't think so. I think the audience will still, if you know how to read an audience and you understand your audience, not just one small segment of it, you can let your audience help you craft a character. We've done it. We've seen it. And oftentimes it happened by accident too. There were oftentimes when, and I'm not just talking about me, I'm talking about other people that I worked for when they were head of creative and head of booking and all that they put stuff out there and they had no real plan for it, but they didn't know how to read the crowd either. Not as well as they should. Just works for me. Let's put it that way.
Well, here is a great question from Mr. Whisper right along those lines about the audience. He says, Eric, in a recent interview with Kenny Omega, he advised fans to forget about the incident with CM Punk and then went on to troll him the next Dynamite by pretend biting his opponent and using Punk's finisher. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't have any. It's so childish, isn't it? Are we kidding us? Does anybody other than me think this is just fucking like high school? I refuse to allow myself to even remotely be interested in this. Talk about feeling bad about yourself because you're watching wrestling in a hotel room when you're 67 years old while you're on vacation. Oh my God. Somebody hit me in the head with a frying pan. I don't care. Just put me out of my misery if you ever see that happen. But to imagine that people who are their target audience are relating to what it's just high school stuff. Whatever, man, whatever happened, happened. I don't care. I don't want to be associated. I want to be in the same room with it.
Well, do you think it's something befitting of behavior befitting of executive vice presidents of any company? I mean, whether it be Walmart or what have you, the fact that the elite kind of find themselves over the last couple months in these kind of weird places.
Yep. It's weird. I don't know what else to say.
They stand accused of being immature.
You think?
And then before this,
First of all, they are immature. They're children. I've got shoes older than them.
Well, you know what? Again, all of us are guilty of being a little petty once in a while, and well, that behavior is pretty much indefensible. Let's go to another one from our live viewers.
You know what's funny about Christy is she can just slit your throat verbally, reach in, grab a hold of your esophagus, and pull what's left of it out. But she does it with a smile on her face and a bit of a giggle, so you don't even know she slits your throat until you've been dead for 45 minutes. That was awesome, Christy.
Yeah, it's a Mortal Kombat fatality.
Oh, it's like she segued. It sounded so nice.
Really
and pleasant when
appreciate
she
that.
segued. I'm going, wait a minute, she just slit his throat. That was nasty. That was some just ninja stuff there.
Yeah.
It's a
Christy,
cool
I don't know if
thing
you
to hear
have.
about
I don't know
myself.
if you
Thank
have a new reel, but this should be on it.
I agree.
There we go.
All right. Well, Zach has this beautiful positive question, which goes right along the theme of Eric's book and being grateful. And he wants to know, Eric, what do you consider your proudest moment ever in your wrestling career? If people will look at your books, I think their mind would boggle at the idea of you having to narrow it down to one. But when you hear that, what comes to mind?
Repeat that. Just the question again.
What is the proudest moment in your wrestling career?
Honestly, I think the WWE Hall of Fame, because that was pretty much the end of it. You know, I mean, yeah, I make an appearance here and there, once in a while. I haven't done one now in over a year, so maybe I'm not even doing that anymore. I don't know. But to me, that was kind of like, that was it. That was the last chapter. And I thought it was awesome. It just felt right. And I think that was it, because the rest of the time, the rest of my career, I didn't think about it. I didn't think about it in terms of being proud of it. I was happy. I was excited. I was relieved. And I was hungry. So I had a big appetite. I wanted to do more and more and more and more and more, and get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And when you are in that career and in those moments, I at least, and this is one of the things I talk about in the book, one of the things that I've learned over the last 5 or 6 or 7 years is, boy, it's time to, be sure that you're grateful for the opportunities that you've had, because it's too easy not to be. And I think I'd have to say, if there was one moment, it was right at the end of my Hall of Fame speech when I threw a punch at the camera. That was it.
Wow.
Beyond the Script wants to know, was it cool to hear the crowd at the Hall of Fame there when it's played back? Were you surprised by that huge reaction that you got?
Yes.
Speaking of proud moments, Harry Flynn has a fun question, specifically about how cool is it, or how does it feel to get an action figure of yourself?
And a good-looking action figure at that.
I know, I saw it while I was down at WrestleCade. It's like, wow, that's going to be cool. How does it feel? It's happened before, so I'm not going to pretend I feel any different about it than I do. I'm proud, because evidently somebody decided it was worthwhile financially to make a character and put it out in a retail marketplace. So that, it's kind of like a little vote of confidence, I guess, in a way, and makes me feel good. But that's about it. I'm not, my ego isn't, it's not like I'm going to run over to Walmart and search the toy shelf so I can take a picture of me standing next to my action figure, right? I mean, that's not who I am. But it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've got one stored away for WayJ, right? Somewhere.
I've got a box somewhere in storage where there's a couple action figures from, I don't know if there's one from WCW or not. I don't think so. But there's quite a few WWE action figures, and I've got a bunch of them in a box somewhere. You can have them.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Well, how was WrestleCade?
I had a blast.
Yeah.
I had a blast. It's really a well-run event. And the group of guys there that I was with, brought me in. Absolutely phenomenal. Did a great job. Everybody was professional, fun to be with. I got to meet some of their kids, which is kind of fun. And it was a great turnout. I think what I hear this morning, because we had the owner of WrestleCade on to talk about the business of the wrestling convention business on Strictly Business. And I think he said there was like 8,000 or 9,000 people, which is, that's a lot. That's an event over the course of a couple of days. And I think he said the average expenditure is like $400 a head between tickets and autographs and all the things that go along with it. So it's a very big and very complex and interesting business model. We talk all about it on Strictly Business. So
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. Really kind of peripheral, because I don't know if you guys had crossed paths, but the Von Erich family, we kind of touched on the fact that, MJF is going to be Lance Von Erich in a kind of movie biopic of the history of the family. What was your impression of the Von Erich family, and like, what is your impression of a potential movie with that seems to be like A-list type deal?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't really know anything about the Von Erich family until I got to WCW. I take that back. Until the end of my run with AWA, and Vern Gagne, I think it was in '89. Yeah, I think it was in '89. Can't remember. Had Super Clash 3, and Super Clash 3 was at that time a network of what was left of the territories, meaning Vern Gagne, Jerry Jarrett was a part of it. I think Bob Geigel in Kansas, to some degree, was a part of it. A few other independent promoters were part of it, and the Von Erichs were a part of it, and Kerry Von Erich was a part of it. And that was the first time that I'd heard the Von Erich name, but I'd never seen them on television because World Class Wrestling wasn't available in Minnesota while I was a wrestling fan. And even when I worked for AWA, you couldn't get it on television. So I didn't know who they were until that Super Clash event. And then when I got to WCW, obviously, I began to learn a little bit more about the various territories and learned a lot more about the Von Erichs. I have very little contact with him. I think may have done an interview or two with Kerry. None of the rest of the Von Erichs really I've ever had a chance to sit down and chat with. So amazing wrestling family, amazing history, like so many things in wrestling, such an interesting backstory. And I'm not surprised it's being made a movie because there was so much drama, real life drama, that it's not that hard to make a great movie about it. So I'm looking forward to it. And congrats to MJF for getting a part. I'm anxious to see how he is as an actor.
Is there any level of frustration as someone who's been trying to get this biopic about Hulk Hogan going for several years now, that this Von Erich film is out there flying and getting going?
No, and I'm not at liberty to speak other than to say two different things. The biopic, as it was published and discussed in Variety and other things, is a massive movie, the big budget. We're not comparing apples to apples here, so it's more it's complex. Let's put it that way. It's complex, and I can't speak to it. So there you go.
And just to kind of bookend it, but I mean, it was funny because when people started seeing that Zac Efron was in a wrestling story, everybody was like, "Oh, he's going to play Hulk Hogan," and that's before we know what we know. So that's kind of a nice kind of bookend to that situation.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
little tidbit of information always makes things interesting.
Interesting. Yeah.
The Landlord Harassment Channel has a very interesting question. I just want to hear your answer on. What's the most dangerous city you've performed in? Like, what city did you feel the least safe exploring in? And he said specifically America, but in general, is there any city where you've ever gotten to and people told you like you shouldn't go out at night or just work?
I mean, we're talking to a man who went for a jog by himself in Korea.
Pyongyang.
North Korea, yeah, 100%.
No. Now, there are cities today that I wouldn't go to or walk around in unarmed, alone. But that's only recent. That's really only in the last couple of years that things have gotten that out of hand. You know, I've been to Philadelphia. There was no place I was afraid to walk around. No, I didn't, necessarily hang out in the most dangerous parts of Philadelphia, but oftentimes we would go looking for restaurants that weren't in, the tourist part of town, the nice part of town. And I've never, ever felt nervous. I grew up in Detroit. I watched the 68 riots from my garage. No, I've never felt uncomfortable anywhere, including North Korea. Maybe I should have. Maybe there's something wrong with me. But
everyone I've ever told that story about you running in Pyongyang has the same response of like, what, did he not know? And it's like,
I just
didn't care.
No, it's not. If somebody would have said, "Hey, dumb shit," guess what? There's a chance that if you go do this, here's what's going to happen. Now, if I would have had that information beforehand, I probably would have gone, shit, I'll just run the stairs, which is what we did the following day, by the way. But I just wasn't afraid. I guess I was ignorant, in the literal sense of the word, lack of information and knowledge. So maybe if I had more information and knowledge, I might not have done it. I don't know, but it just seemed, I'd been interfacing with the North Korean officials, and I was kind of laughing and joking. Well, it's not really laughing and joking with your North Korean Secret Service attaché, but it's as close as you could get, and had a good rapport with her. It was female, and I thought, she won't mind. Just going on for a run. It's not like I'm going to go peeping into people's windows and shit, trying to spy on stuff. I'm just going for a run. I'll be back in an hour.
So it wasn't even like, oh, they'll be upset that I did this.
No.
It was, you were just, no, I'm going for a run. That's what
I actually thought I would get back before she came, because I don't think we had to go anywhere till like 9:30 or 10 that morning. So I thought, I can go get a run in, because I took off in the dark. I mean, it wasn't even light yet when I took off, and the sun was rising. It was getting light as I was getting back to my hotel. And I timed it that way on purpose because I want to be able to get my run in and get back and get a shower before she showed up. She showed up early and I wasn't there.
Oh, that is one of my favorite stories, Eric.
Hence the heat.
No one else in the world has that experience. We love that. We're just not gonna let that fly, that question that you answered a little earlier about the biopic. We need more information. Mick Mac says, Eric, is Chris Hemsworth still doing the biopic? He is taking time away due to an Alzheimer's diagnosis. Also, how come you look so good wearing any jumper? Okay, maybe we are gonna let you by with that.
I'm not commenting on anything. I'm not commenting any more than I already have. And we call these sweatshirts, not jumpers. Jumpers are what, infants wear over their diapers.
It's like a
when you get,
situation?
in a bad neighborhood and you're running, you get in jump. Yeah. No? Nothing. That's all right.
Genesis
says,
really
hey,
Eric. Hey, Eric, miss you and everyone else at AFS. Hope you're doing well. And if you're ever in town, let's have a drink or two at Hogan's Beach. You know the spot.
I have been there and I have had a drink or two. And if I'm there in the future, and I probably will be over Christmas because I'm going to be there in Clearwater, not far from the beach, Hogan's Beach place. So yeah, I'll be there.
That segs us nicely to a question from Ibzan Aurora, who wants to know what's Christmas Day like in the Bischoff household.
Magic.
Aww.
Because we start out with these Irish coffees that were made famous at a hotel in San Francisco in a restaurant. Can't think of the name. I will.
Ghirardelli?
No, that's chocolate. It's famous. They invented Irish coffees. I mean, you can Google this as we talk if you want, but they invented. They're credited for inventing the Irish coffee.
Buena Vista.
Buena Vista, the Buena Vista Hotel. So we actually ordered the Buena Vista Irish whiskey glasses. They have little Buena Vista logos on them. They were really expensive, and we have the Buena Vista Irish coffee recipe that we follow to a T, and it's a process. It's wonderful, and that's how the day starts. And then we exchange gifts, and really gifts. Our families over the years have kind of changed our view of gifts, and we value other things. So we do exchange gifts, but it's not like, it's just not like it used to be when our kids were young kids, because you felt like that's what their expectation was. But as they get older, they expect and appreciate different things. So that part of it's changed. Although now this is WayJ's first Christmas. It's actually his second Christmas, but his first Christmas now that he's up and running around and having fun being a kid. It's going to be fun because now we'll probably end up doing what we used to do with our kids and overindulging and buying too many stupid gifts. But that's how it works, I guess. That's the circle of life.
That's what grandpas are for.
There you go.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite Christmas present or Christmas memory of any time in your life?
I think that, I remember fairly vividly Christmas when I was like 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10 years old. But the magic, by the time you're 10 years old, the magic is kind of different. Christmas is different because now there's the deal now, brother. But when I was 6, 7 years old, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, it was Christmas still. There was magic. I'm not sure I bought into the whole Santa Claus thing completely, but I wasn't sure either, so I left some room just in case.
Kayfabe, brother, we have young viewers.
No, we don't. Everybody that just is like my age, for crying out loud. That's not true, advertisers. It's not true at all.
Under 35. They're all under 35.
Yeah,
1735.
Every single one of them. But no, I remember. Here's a little thing that I remember. Is my dad. My dad's job. He was a purchasing agent at a company called American Standard. American Standard, to this day, they make toilets and urinals and plumbing fixtures and commercial stuff and residential stuff. American Standard's been around a long time. Well, my dad was what they call a purchasing agent. So he purchased all the different components that the company used in the manufacture of the goods. And this is Detroit in the 60s, okay? So corporate America was different back then. So my dad being the purchasing agent, meaning my dad was the one spending the company's money. So salesmen who was courting and trying to sell my dad on their products around Christmas time, we would have thousands of dollars of shit delivered to the house. Wow. And it's all like whiskey and chocolates and I mean, it wasn't like grift or anything under the table. It was just always a lot of presents, and it was always exciting, even though there were things that were inappropriate for kids. But my brother and I would when that stuff would come to the house, it was like he'd open it up and it's like, oh, champagne, oh, mama, yeah. Oh, more whiskey, oh my god. But it was fun. Every once in a while, somebody would send chocolates, and of course my brother and I would abscond with those things and run up the stairs and hide them under the bed before mom or dad even knew that they arrived. Bastard kids.
I like it. Little angst I like it.
Well, let's jump into some business of the wrestling business stuff here. We have got a great question from TNY26 who asks, do you think if WWE is sold, would it end up like the WCW, like corporate people not knowing how the business is run? I gotta say, this is something I've wondered about too, Eric. You know, we all know how tight of a grip Vince McMahon had on WWE, and how much control he had there. Someone else is in control, things could change entirely.
I'm going to speak so out of school here, but I think I'm right when I paint the picture I'm about to paint. But when most companies are sold that are big, large, successful operating units, they're sold with the talent in place. It's not like buying a house and you're going to buy a company like WWE, fire everybody and bring in all your own people. You're actually going to work real hard to identify the key people in that on that management team, and they're going to be part of that acquisition in one way, shape, or form, either through incentives or contracts or whatever, because everybody would know that you need some of your core senior management there, and they're going to come out of it just smelling like roses anyway. They're going to be happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer is no. I think if there was ever a sale of WWE, anybody buying it would recognize the value of the core senior management team and would do everything they could to protect that. Like I said, through incentives and otherwise. So no, I don't think it would be the same thing at all.
That's interesting. I guess that makes sense that they would want it to maintain the value it had when they bought it, essentially keeping things mostly the same.
Yeah,
Dan,
you don't see things like, I mean, look what Elon Musk is doing on Twitter. That's completely opposite of what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
But what Musk is doing is completely opposite of most major acquisitions of that level.
Right.
Mhm.
Most major acquisitions of that level, you're working real hard to keep people. Musk has just decided to take a different approach. And it's so much fun to watch, by the way. It's like the best entertainment going right now is watching Elon Musk versus everybody else.
In his defense, has anyone ever actually tried to burn it all down? He's the first person trying that.
Well, I don't know that he's trying to burn it all down.
I know,
He's trying to clean it all out. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
But
you got, and that, you know, every company does that.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody come, you know, whenever there's a merger and acquisition, I have been part of this, and I've heard the bullshit that you hear when it all goes down. It's like, oh no, here's what Gerald Levin said at a Christmas party that I was at, standing next to Steve Case and Ted Turner, and I was 3 feet from him with my wife. And I listened to Gerald Levin right after the merger was announced say, this is going to be the most wonderful merger in all of media history, because the tradition and the history and the deep roots of Time Warner are now merging with the entrepreneurial spirit and drive of Ted Turner and the organization he has built. And I'm like, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait. I want to leave that party and go to my office and go to work.
Wow.
I just couldn't wait to get back to. I'm going. I was think I was the first person to clap. I was so excited. A year later, the exact opposite was what was happening. And somebody told me once, because I was really excited about the merger. I was the optimistic one. And somebody senior to me, and I don't remember who he was right now, but he'd been around a long time and he'd been through mergers and acquisitions. He said, Eric, it's going to take a year, maybe 2, and you're not going to recognize this place. I said, there's no way that's not going to happen. Ted Turner would never let that happen. Because I had all this faith in Ted, and I didn't know what was really going on behind corporate doors. And I didn't know that Ted Turner was losing all of his stroke within his own company. And it took about a year. And I remembered that guy saying that to me, and I went, shit. And it got ugly right after that. So, but it takes time, usually.
Where's that guy now? I mean, where was he the year after when everything went down?
Well, AOL ceases to exist, right? Or
Right.
if they do, it's not the same thing. I don't know what happened to Gerald Levin. Obviously, he's retired. I mean, he made his, billions or whatever he made. Steve Case took off. He disappeared into obscurity. I'm sure he's doing something profound and giving away money and trying to save the world or some shit. But he can afford to, because he also made billions in what amounted to be the absolute biggest disaster, despite what Gerald Levin promised at that Christmas party that I attended. That merger ended up being, probably to this date, the single most disaster of a corporate merger in media history.
So if you Google Gerald Levin, the top thing that you find is a Hollywood Reporter story from January of 2010, where it says Gerald Levin apologizes for AOL Time Warner merger.
Secretly what I wanted. Jesus.
Do you feel vindicated by that at all, Eric? Is the next line personally to Eric Bischoff?
When I speak the truth.
Yeah.
I don't make shit up. I mean, it's the truth. And it's funny to hear it coming from Gerald Levin, since I was standing 3 feet from him when he said the opposite of what actually happened. You prick. Whew. Hope you're miserable with all your billions. You made a lot of other people's lives miserable.
I think we have 2 quick super chats, and then we gotta head over to the Ad-Free Shows family.
You got me fired up. I like talking about Gerald Levin.
These would be fun ones.
This one's a fun one. Avalon D wants to know, hello, Eric, who would win in a fight, Vince Russo or Jim Cornette?
I don't know. That's a stupid question.
If it was a pay-per-view match, would you referee it? I would imagine the answer is no, because you don't want to do business with either of them.
I don't have any problem with Jim Cornette. I want to make that clear. I mean, he's not my cup of tea. Sometimes but he's a really smart guy, and he's entertaining as hell. And I know he hates my guts, and that's cool too. I don't care. Doesn't mean I can't find him entertaining. But here's the difference. I don't have to like somebody to feel comfortable working with them. I just have to trust them. And Jim Cornette doesn't strike me as someone that I couldn't trust. I mean, I like him, but I could probably trust him. The opposite is true with the other guy. And that's my thing. I mean, if Vince Russo called me right now and said, hey, Eric, let's go have a beer. I want to kind of put it all behind us and da-da-da. Yeah, in probably 45 minutes, I could be having a great time. We could be laughing about it. I still wouldn't trust him ever again. But I could hang out with him. I just couldn't do business with him.
Also,
Cornette's probably the opposite.
Well, I love
never want to hang out together, but if it came to business, sure, I'd do it.
I love these questions, but at the same time, Cornette is somebody who would never in a million years do business with Russo. Wouldn't even entertain.
And he probably wouldn't do it with me either. So it's a kind of a silly question. It's one of those hypotheticals with no real good answer.
There's a table for me with you guys. I'm just saying. But Russo probably never, unless it's a burial, literally.
Also, that was an LMAO, but thanks for all the great memories question, which is the best sentiment. Let's get to this last one here from Genesis, who said, hey, Eric, if Santa had to be in your corner during a tag team match, what would your finishing move together be called? P.S. Elon Musk is the man. Let's think of a great move for Eric and Santa's tag team finisher, guys.
Mm-hmm. Ho, ho, ho for life?
Think about it. Like the Silver Stunner.
So I'm gonna throw one out there. It's a little generic, but it's gonna fit. The Peppermint Drop.
Okay.
We're gonna start there. I'm not saying that's what it'll be. I'm saying that that's a good place to start. That's not a terror. Like we're in the range. Okay. Am I overselling the bad move?
We're gonna think on this one, Genesis. We're gonna take our live viewer suggestions on that one, guys, and we'll throw them out next week if you come up with anything good. On that note, we have really enjoyed hanging out with our 83 Weeks channel friends. Make sure that you hit that big red subscribe button and turn on the little bell for notifications so that you know every time we're here live with Eric, and you can throw your questions at him. Please also go and check out ad-free shows. We're going to have a special few minutes. This is our after party, very private, where we get very open here for the next few minutes of this show. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We do this Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time. We hope to see you here, and sign up at adfreeshows.com to join our after party. Have a great week, guys. Take care.
Woo. Oh yeah, music.
The Rudolph flash. That's a good one.
They're all going to be better than what I pitched.
Where'd that came from?